going into Watkins Glen, man, William Byron wins his 5th win of the season. He was fast in practice. Once he got the lead, nobody could run him down. Denny and those guys were just hanging around second half to 3 seconds back, and Byron was just lights out. We don't really know how Michael McDowell would have fared because he got in some trouble on pit road, drove through too many boxes and this and that and the other. But he had some good, decent speed in his car.
Yeah.
I think if he was able to keep the lead, I don't know if Byron could have gotten it from him. A very fast race, hour and 58 minutes, shortest Cup race in the modern era since 71, 72.
Yeah, it flew by.
Yeah. 90 laps. There's a lot of laps though.
Yeah.
But we had no stage cautions.
Right,
Those
which is nice.
Those are 15 minutes apiece.
That's right.
We had 1 yellow for 4 laps. Just like the week before at Indy, 1 yellow for 3 laps.
Right.
Indy was a pretty decent race. This race, not going to win any awards.
No, but thankfully for this race, there was enough other compelling storylines to kind of keep you interested. I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie. I'm watching a soccer game and trying to follow along at the same time because my daughter was playing in Greensboro. So I'm watching you guys also, yelling at her. No, I'm kidding about that. But it flew by. It was so fast. But the Chase Elliott situation blew my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like
him running out of gas.
Running out of gas. Like how – I know how that happens, but how does that happen with all that's on the line?
I don't know. They talk about going to the switch, right? So basically, let's just imagine it's not quite exactly like this, but imagine you got a 22-gallon tank in your car, and you got all this fuel, right? And so you're gonna run, you're gonna run around town until it gets close to the E, and then you're going to pull in a gas station and fill it up, right? But imagine if you had a little switch where it gets close to the E, and you flip that switch and you can drive until it stumbles, right? Or it gets close to that E, start stumbling, you flip the switch, and the switch is going to give you 15 miles, guaranteed, right? You would probably always drive it to the switch.
Right. You got to see how far you can run that thing.
Well, no, you would just be like, I don't feel like going to the gas station. I don't feel like going to the gas station right now. It's close to E, but I'm going to let it sputter. When it sputters, I'll take it. That's how we would do it, right? We'd all get there. So this is kind of what the Cup guys have. They don't have a gas gauge, but they got a switch. So they'll run, and it starts sputtering. Well, your tank's empty. You flip the switch. Now there's this little small compartment in the bottom of the fuel cell that's holding about a gallon of fuel. And that's now where you're drawing fuel from. When you flip the switch, you basically change the pickup line from the main pickup line that takes all the gas out of the tank to a individual pickup line in this very small reservoir that's going to give you enough gas to get back to the pits. That's all that's for.
Right.
And as long as I've remembered using this switch, it was good for a lap. It was absolutely going to get you back to pit road, but nothing more. And as far as I know, it has not really changed. And so when they told him that he would have 3 laps on the switch, I wasn't going to say anything on TV because I thought, well, they would know better than I would.
Right.
They built it.
You assume it, sure.
They built the thing, so if they think it'll go 3 laps, then they know it'll go 3 laps, but it didn't. And so, that I don't know what the misinformation was. I don't know whether they had a problem with what they believed was possible. When he said, "Hey, when you hit the switch, you got 3 laps," that sounded odd to me because that's a lot of laps at a long 2.5 mile racetrack, and that's a lot of gas in a reservoir. That's a lot of gas in that tank that they're holding in that reservoir. That must be
separate fuel
different than anything that's ever been. It's different. It was a lot of fuel for it to run 3 laps, and so. It didn't, obviously, and so maybe the system is similar to what we've always ran, and what I'm familiar with is the kind of system they had. And I just, I'm, listening to, the team's comments after the race and Alan, the crew chief's comments. He's like, hey, man, we can't win the race doing what everybody else is doing. I think that's great. He's a hell of a crew chief.
Yeah.
He's a badass. And so I like what they tried. They were thinking, maybe come to pit road first, get a lucky caution, something like that. They could flip it, get them up toward the front a little closer. I don't think they had the pace to drive through the field.
That being the distinction, right? If they had it, then you can do what everybody else because you're going to outrun them.
The top 5 didn't change order,
right?
Hardly much at all in the last 30 laps of the race. Nobody was driving through the field. Nobody. And so even if his car was the best car on the track, I don't think he's driving through the field. So they had to do something, and he tried something unique, and I tip my cap to him because it was pretty aggressive.
I appreciate that he said what he said. Also, did you hear what he said on the in the radio during the race?
Yeah.
Like when he ran out of gas, he was like, I was fed bad information, or we got bad information, which to me just means there was a miscalculation with the engineers. I can appreciate that. In fact, that's the most relatable thing I've ever had to a NASCAR race, doing bad math, and therefore it doesn't add out, and you end up having to take the class over again. Oh, wait a second. I just had a college flashback. But the fact is that we have just bad math or something. Maybe that was a miscalculation. And, man, what a time for that to happen, though.
I know it.
God, that sucked.
Gran Turismo, based on a true story, is a movie about a team of unlikely underdogs. A struggling working-class gamer, a failed former race car driver, and an idealistic motorsports executive. Together, they risk it all to take on the most elite sport in the world. Directed by Neil Blomkamp, the movie features an incredible cast led by David Harbour alongside Orlando Bloom, Jaimin Hansu, Jerry Hollowell Horner, Archie Madekwe as Jan Martinborough.
Some of the most famous racing competitions in the world are recreated through the use of actual Nissan GTs, drones, and practical effects. The racing sequences are so realistic that the real-life Jan Martinborough himself actually served as a stunt driver for the film. This is a movie that needs to be seen on the big screen.
It's an inspiring, thrilling, and action-packed movie. Gran Turismo, based on a true story, is exclusively in movie theaters this Thursday. Get your tickets today, rated PG-13.
What are we gonna do?
Oh, shut up! I'm not missing my race.
Oh, I'm gonna puke.
Don't pick up my dad's car.
Yes, we're not going to jail!
Oh, crap.
Listen, son. You think you're gonna play a stupid video game about cars and you're gonna become a race car driver?
All I ever wanted to do is be a racer. I'm doing it.
The 10 of you are the best Gran Turismo players in the world. Now is your chance to race real cars.
This is insane.
It's not gonna work. The guys who race are elite athletes. Your kids are scrawny little gamer kids.
That's where you come in.
You think you can do the impossible. I'm here to prove that you can't.
You get tired, you get sloppy, you get hurt, and you lose races!
You puked on my lawn.
I know what I'm doing. I'm not afraid. I've raced this track 1,000 times in the game. Let me drive it my way.
That was actually pretty great.
We have a newcomer this year. His presence is shaking the foundation of the sport.
This is the major leagues. The other drivers, your pit crew are going to hate you.
Much easier with a joystick, isn't it?
I can't see anything!
Not sure if I can do this.
Most people can't. I got a feeling you're not most people.
If I lose more than just a race. So I'm not gonna quit.
You've got to prove to everyone that you belong.
You've raced it, like 1,000 times? Now you just gotta do it in real life.
Gran Turismo, based on a true story.
But I won't stop now.
The question at the end of the day, though, man, is all right, so 2 road course races in a row, 1 yellow, A lot of green flag racing. At Indy, we had a really great ending. Pretty compelling, good battles up front. Several battles throughout the field. It was a pretty decent race. Very feel-good story on the finish with McDowell winning. But then we go to the Glen. Everybody likes the Glens. Great party scene.
Love the Glen.
Lots of campers. Sold out grandstand.
9th sellout in a row at that place.
And but a very similar race in terms of green flags, no cautions. And the question at the end of the day for me is, are the fans going to start calling for the stage breaks cautions to come back?
Oof. Right?
And I don't know that I hate that idea. I don't look back over. I mean, if I said it, find it. I don't believe I ever said these, taking away the cautions at the road courses is going to make the racing better. It's less yellows. It's less restarts. It's less strategy. It basically makes the strategy very straightforward. Mm-hmm. You're going to run the race backwards. You're going to pit. You're going to run to the stage if you can, get your stage points, and come right to pit road. And then you're going to do the same thing in stage 2. And as soon as you get inside the window to finish the race, you're coming to pit road. You're not going to sit out there and get called with a yellow. Just like we've always ran road courses. So with the stage cautions, the strategies were really there was like an extra strategy to try.
That's right.
Right.
That's 100%.
Right. So without the stage cautions, there's like 1.5 strategies. With stage cautions, you've got about 3 different routes to take, right? And so, and that the person that stays out to get that stage point is at a disadvantage to the person that threw it away and pitted before the end of the stage, because when the caution comes out, that's going to leapfrog that person forward. All of those things were really compelling. And you had a lot of cars that were maybe not very fast at some points of the race toward the front on restarts that would jumble up and make things exciting. You had somebody that was a more dominant car now in 10th place on a restart that had led most of the last stage, going to fight their way through. That's all gone. And so if NASCAR turned around today and said, we're going back to stage cautions at road courses, I wouldn't throw my hands in there. I'd be fine with it.
Maybe there's certain road courses that you apply that to and certain ones you don't. There's some road courses on the circuit that a caution lap takes half a day, it seems like.
Well, the Coda's a long course, yeah. But, there's ways around that. And that look, I don't go to Coda, so I don't care.
Ultimately, that's what this is about, right?
I don't broadcast it. I don't go to it. I give a crap how long the cautions are.
He's honest, folks. If nothing else, he's honest.
I don't want to go to Coda. Track limits and all that mess. Can
I make a counterpoint, though, that I'm going to tell you, you've rubbed off on me a little bit.
Oh?
Yes. So I've always been the kind of guy that just likes to be entertained, and so throw the cautions out there. Let's see the different strategies. However, maybe it's a little of the Becoming Earnhardt series. Maybe it's a little of the nostalgia that you're rubbing off on all of us. But there's something I've actually found that I appreciated the last 2 weeks of it more being a pure traditional race where I'm okay with the fewer cautions and the ass whoopings because I'm actually appreciating what Michael McDowell did and I'm appreciating what William Byron and his team did because they went out there and they laid the stick to them, right? And if maybe it's because it's a road course, I don't know. I would love to hear what other people say. And I'm sure they will on social, but like if it was the, the Fontanas or the Michigans or the Poconos, maybe I have a different feeling. But in these 2 weeks, I have found myself appreciating an old school ass whooping.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it has that with the cautions and the stage breaks because it just it re-racks them, right?
No, yeah.
Or at least it gives you a different strategy where somebody who is, doing something wonky comes in and takes it from William Byron or maybe McDowell. I don't know, man. I'm just saying I'm learning something about myself.
Yeah.
I'm evolving. I hope everybody is. But this one I could appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, this goes all right, so add this if we're throwing all of this conversation into a YouTube, you got to add this part of the argument. All right, so the Xfinity race on Saturday, was that a better race?
Yes.
All right. Better race. You still had one car dominate, but you had a lot going on, right? You still had a lot going on, some good racing.
Good point.
On Sunday, the damn top 5 in the last 30 laps just sit there and ran 2 car lengths apart. You know, the leader was a second and a half out in front of Denny, and then it was Denny, and then, you know, nobody could pass.
That's the problem. Go back to the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So, I would prefer, look, if stage cautions have to come back, let's put that in our pocket and let that be the last resort. All right, we know we can do that. That's an easy thing to do. But let's not do that right now, because it doesn't really fix what I think is the real problem. And that's that at the Glen specifically, they need to try to find a little bit better tire. The tire doesn't fall off. They start off running, if they're running a 73 flat, they're running a 73.70 at the end of the run. The tire doesn't fall off enough, which doesn't really, that's not going to fix everything. Look, we go to Richmond, we have 3 seconds to fall off. They all fall off the same. They still don't pass. So fall off will not really fix it all. But the tire is so good that they're qualifying every lap, and the cars have a lot of grip, and there's not any real big mistakes. Like when they're running through the bus stop and coming through the carousel around me, it's chaos. Every race. Sunday, not much at all going on.
That's interesting. You would know. That was an interesting vantage point you had.
Only problem I saw people having was getting all upset over the curb. So they're jumping a damn curb. Okay, the rest of it was pretty straightforward. Nobody getting loose and wrecking into the tires or nothing. You know, and hardly any real passing going on through there. So there's something about the package, the grip, the downforce, all of those things, and maybe whatever they're trying to learn on this short track package, what they're trying to develop in the short track package is something that they could take to the Glen. Because good Lord, even if we did have stage cautions, the green flag drops, and in 2 laps we're back to where we were yesterday.
Yeah, sounds like the bigger problem that we're talking about almost every week, right? Yeah, I mean, it's the car, the tires, all that stuff.
Even if we do have stage cautions, in about 2 laps we're back to where we were Sunday. We're going to have cars in single file, a couple car lengths apart, not a whole lot of passing.
Okay.
I'd be, I would be a little concerned if I'm NASCAR watching that race. I would want to have more going on. I definitely want to have some more excitement inside the top 5 at the end of that race. All those guys were just so even, and nobody could get close enough to really take advantage of each other. And that tells me the cars have a lot of grip. They're relatively comfortable. They're not easy to drive. They told me that. I mean, AJ Allmendinger got out and said these are hard to drive around here, but we're qualifying every lap. We got a lot of grip. The tire doesn't fall off, and you're just hauling ass. And there's no change. You didn't really see somebody, really fade on the long run. And when they did fade, everybody behind them would just stack up. They still couldn't pass a car that was really struggling. It was hard to get around a car that was just slap slow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that place is unique compared to other road courses because it's faster. Aero plays a big role. And that might have been a bit, so that's another direction, another place to look. At Watkins Glen, this looked probably, at Watkins Glen, it looked the way it looked because it's faster and it's more aerodynamic dependent, and getting in dirty air is a bigger problem there than other road courses, possibly.